Another new day in some imaginary world, heading by imaginary car or imaginary train to imaginary work, driving to the tune of radio on a made-up highway, passing made-up buildings. What makes creation vivid? How do we immerse ourselves in made-up worlds, movies, stories, and books? Can simulations be of lesser value than what's created on screens? Do we need real actors, the touch of brush on a canvas, or a good camera to bring creations alive? No, we only need imagination and a great story. That's immersion. Dear viewers, I present you the city of Herrington. So, hi guys! Today I'll be sharing with you my most recent off-camera build, which is the city of Herrington. So there is not like any particular theme I went with. I'm not the fan of one-to-one projections when it comes to city building in City Skylines, but I had a general idea in mind. Nature-wise, I was inspired by fjords and forests of Scandinavia. As you can see here, Scandinavia is rather known for its low-rise architecture. Besides some inspiring waterfronts of Oslo or Copenhagen with modern architecture, I would consider it rather classic European style. That wasn't my style. I wanted to leave waterfronts, less managed as I did in Roscoco, but besides Scandinavia, I had one more inspiration in mind. So it was Netherlands, especially the Zeeland region, or however you pronounce that. So since their constant risk of being flooded, Dutch perfected the art of managing water and waterfronts. Dutch architecture is also rather low-rise, but there are some exceptions, like for example the city of Rotterdam, which is also filled with high-rise apartments. While being surrounded by the water, it has amazing skyline. And also nearby Germany has Frankfurt with breathtaking skyline, and also capital of my mother country, Poland, which is Warsaw. So that's enough of the inspiration. And name though. I want to fully discover the fishing industry when Sunset Harbor came out. So I imagine the story of the presence of herring or other fish in the nearby water that have been crucial in attracting settlers and establishing the early economy of the city. Nearby forests could serve as a supply of wood and building materials. Although Herrington developed its identity around fishing and forestry, urbanists had further plans for city development. Urban plans reflected the city's historical reliance on fishing, with waterfront areas dedicated to fishing-related activities, as well as tourism surrounding nearby beautiful natural reservoir. Okay guys, so we will start our tour at the very border of the map, at the very end of the map. I use 81 tiles to unlock all the tiles at the beginning of the game, hence that's why I could start at the outskirts. Like, you know, in the real life we usually have the industrial zones placed at the outskirts of the city. I don't like how in the vanilla game you are forced to start at the very center of the map, like in the coolest place, but nevertheless. So whenever I start playing, I immediately place toll booths, so people have to pay to enter my city or even pay to leave my city, which is cruel, but you know, girl has to make her money somehow, especially at the beginning of the city, just when I start the game. I don't like sandbox mode, I need a little challenge. So here is the, I think some kind of factory with the warehouse, and we have the forestry industry, so it goes along the highway. I use the bob mod to change the types of trees so they aren't like the vanilla kind of ugly style. It's, you know, a little bit heavier on performance, but it's worth your FPS because it looks better. Here we have in the center this like zone to process the collected wood, some warehouses, some small buildings. This is like from the vanilla. Some props to make it more like realistic, but you know, I don't have this very realistic, like very detailed style of gaming. Like I aim for more moderately detailed builds. This is like the main zone when it comes to forestry industry, mostly, you know, like the tree fields, and I try to kinda make it blend to the forest, to the surrounding area. So this is how it looks like. And on the other side of the highway, we have train tracks that are going to the warehouse, and the warehouse, let's say it's connected to factories. I think these are like the paper and furniture processing factories. And we also have this really nice train station that just, you know, brings the workers to this zone, because since it's in the very outskirts of the city, driving there by the car, it would take forever. And also a little bit on the right. Okay, so over here we have like area to manage all the waste that our citizens create. And I not only mean the plastic bottles that they throw away in the trash, I also mean the, you know, biological waste that humans create. And of course, this is like mostly sewage pumps and this waste processing plant, and some random buildings. The traffic isn't very heavy, perhaps because I use the Industry's rebalance mode that kind of modifies the amounts of trucks that are produced. And these are like very random water pumps. I just, you know, had to place them somehow when I started the city. This is a bridge, just, you know, vanilla game. Some random electricity source for our early settlers. And besides all the suburbs over here, which I will tell you in a moment, I also have here like a very tiny industry zone with the harbor for fishing, and all the suburbs. This is another important industry that I wanted to place. I think I started the cities when Sunset Harbor came out, maybe, and I really wanted to try the fishing industry. I think it just fits the theme of the map, of this, you know, Scandinavian vibe perfectly. So we have the fishing industry over here. It's not great, like there were some buildings over here, but they kept like disappearing, and I just, you know, ditched that. Like I said, I'm not crazy about the details like this. The gameplay, it's important for me to, you know, have satisfying gameplay. I don't want to stress over it. You know, some like warehouse, and I think it's the fish processing factory or something like this. Yeah, so this is the area, and I don't know what's going on over here. Let's ignore it too. Okay, so suburbs. This is the first neighborhood I built. It's quite big, I would say. So it starts close to the forestry zone, goes along this highway, main road heading to the city center. We also have the nature reservoir, or however you pronounce that, from the park life, with this really nice lake, some little camping area. I think we have also a stable for horse riding, and it's cute. I like it. This is definitely something I will have to record for my cinematic video. So we have this cable car going over there. Wow, this lake is, you know, bigger than I thought. Cable cars stops on the other side of this park. Goes to the parking. Of course, a lot of cyber trucks in my city. I have only like few models of cars in this gameplay, and it's funny because the ones I see the most are either Cybertrucks or Volkswagen Passat. Okay, and so the suburbs. Okay, so the suburbs, are pretty generic. This is the style of buildings I used. Yeah, there are some like parks around them. As you can see, we can say it's like higher class. Higher class, definitely not a middle class, because they have all the pools, and the houses might look simple, but they are pretty neat and modern, sort of. That's what I said in the inspiration part, that I did not have like any particular theme. Like I said Scandinavian, I said kinda Dutch, but I'm not too strict about it. And I don't know why, but some houses got like randomly bulldozed, and hence I have some random vanilla houses around. But yeah, these are just, small details. I wanted to place a lot of like soccer fields around the town, make the sport important part of the identity of the citizens. I think I took it from Knausgaard writing. He is a Norwegian writer that just simply wrote like few books about his own life in Norway, and I felt like the sport was important part of the communities living in those tiny Norwegian villages. And this is like a little area close to the river. This is from the hotel's retreat. I think there's an event going on right now. Wow, it looks stunning. It doesn't maybe fit the vibe of area completely, but it's still interesting. Some random houses, and another, I think it's like a cottage house from the hotel DLC. Parking, it's filled, of course, levitating cars. I don't know how to fix that, to be honest. If you know, just write in the comments how to fix that. I try to like page down it with move it, but I think as long as it's sloped, it's not going to work. And still it goes around the river. And regarding the transport, so this is the point at which I introduce the rails and also ferries that will take us to the very center of the city, but more on that later. This looks lovely, like this road along the mountains, and the railway tracks. A little bit wobbly, but like I said, I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to cities. And this is it's a little bit more lucky than I thought. Train station, close to like this bus hub. There's a lot of bus out here, bus depot, so people can travel to the suburbs. In the early days of Herrington, its railway system was the backbone of industrial expansion, linking factories and residential areas. As the city prospered, people moved into higher-rise apartments further from the industrial zones, embracing a new lifestyle of working in sleek office buildings and vibrant commercial stores. The skyline evolved, with office building marking the transition from a railroad town to a dynamic urban center. Okay then, so we have another like commercial area which got abandoned, I see, and we have apartments. So we started to going, higher rise. We have this amazing high school, a lot of more of citizens moved in. Not particular theme I went with, although those buildings like give me a Dutch vibes. When I went to Netherlands, I remember all those big glassy windows. Just your residential zone, nothing interesting, a bit repetitive, I would say. Lots of cars spread around. There is a metro going underground, buses, and again, so area to play sports. Pretty repetitive. I really wanted to just expand the city, like population-wise. Aesthetic wasn't like the main priority over here. Another area to play sports. The bigger like commercial zone for groceries and stuff. And a little park, because greenery is like reoccurring theme in the city. I wanted to find a balance between modernization and what's made by humans, but also the beautiful nature that is here on the map. And here is also, I think, the metro depot from Metro Overhaul mod. And the smoking signs, I know where they come from. So here you see the beautiful entry to the metro tunnel. Oh my god. Yeah. Here is a beautiful forest. This one silos that I did not delete is a sign that there used to be agriculture area, agriculture industry, but I have deleted it because it looked absolutely ugly. I can't do fields in this game, like someone teach me, because I just can't. So that's the only industry that this city is missing. And here is a little neighborhood that was supposed to house the people working on the agriculture. There are the suburbs over here. Then we have a new high-rise apartment buildings, some offices and commercial. So along the highway, I've built similar styled buildings, similar to the previous neighborhood. I use almost the same assets. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like in Poland, I see a lot of cities that were built in like Soviet style, and they also look like almost identical. Also, if you take a look at the modern architecture, it's usually white and boxy and sort of modern, but also a little bit boring too. Here is our railway connection, and we are going to explore a new area. The heart of Herrington, its city center, became a symbol of growth and aspiration. Local investors poured resources into towering skyscrapers that house corporate headquarters and luxury apartments. Among these developments, the region's largest hospital rose, setting the stage for Herrington to become a hub for medical excellence. Rumors appeared of plans for the area's biggest stadium, attracting further investment in residential complexes and entertainment venues. Once the city got developed, I decided to build like very high-rise building along this river. There's still a mix of high-rise with like, I don't know, like 15 levels buildings. We have a little bit of commercial zone and also a huge hospital. I used Rico to change this building to hospital as well, and I've made this like medical complex. So beside the hospital, this is how the area developed. We have gradually more skyscrapers, high-rise buildings again, floating cars, of course, a lot of public transport. There are metro tracks hidden. There's even more skyscrapers. And as you can see, the area is on the 2 levels. So we have this higher level over here close to the river. And we also have this riverside pier over there, nothing crazy, just serving as a yacht parking for all the residents from this apartment area. Oh, I really like those. I wish I put more attention into detailing. Oh yeah, and regarding the detailing, nothing crazy, as you can see, some grass and random bushes or maybe stones. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. Yeah, so regarding the seaside, we also have these beautiful buildings that are, I think, originally from Denmark. Not sure if Copenhagen or other city. Of course, wonky, wonky highway. I cannot into networking. Oh, and this is a little area where I wanted to introduce the buildings from like Korean pack, but yeah, I don't know if I succeeded. I think they look a little bit off. We're going over here, lots of apartments, mix of low-rise, high-rise, like nothing spectacular, a little park and greenery. Oh, of course, ferry stop. And then we are slowly heading to this area where the like lower rise and higher rise is connected by this little cute roundabout. I love assets like it is. Like I hate building them myself and detailing, but the ready assets ready to use are great idea to like make your roundabout situation more realistic. In the city, I wanted to left a little bit of space between the buildings because Los Coco was way more crowded, so I wanted to leave a place for greenery from like those little pavements, make it more like walkable, more pedestrian friendly. Just look how stunning it looks. Yeah, I love it. And then in this area there is a football stadium on the hill. There's a little tunnel going on. Beautiful apartments. Yeah, I really like it. I think it comes from the vanilla game, not from the assets. And this is just a lot of space for parking lots. This is other small stadium for rugby. I think that's rugby. And metro station. I've hidden the transition from tunnel to like overground under this clover intersection. And yeah, there's actually a train coming. Looks really nice. And I've mixed them with this really low rise, like Dutch style sort of buildings. I've placed some of the same style buildings over here as well. With aspirations reaching new heights, Herrington unveiled its own airport, located near the city center. The metro system, now serving a 2 or 3 generations of Herringtonians, replaced the humble fishing boats that once defined daily life. As this area got developed, I felt like it's a perfect time to incorporate the airport into my city. So I used this area, it was a flat land originally in the map. That's when I added the airport. It's a little bit close to the city center, but it was like a perfect area on the map. And I thought, why not? I usually place airport like very far from the city center and I never get to see them. So now I can. So we have the planes taxi. I think there is actually a line. And yeah, it's a little bit wonky, but I like how it looks from afar. And of course, the railway and metro is connecting citizens to this airport. The city fortunes took a monumental turn when the discovery of oil fields, aided by the Westdale Oil Corporation, injected a substantial wealth into Herrington. This windfall funded transformative projects including a grand train station welcoming tourists and a modern waterfront with a bustling harbor. This beautiful city was relying mostly on forestry, but I decided to add the oil industry, and this is where it is. So it looks like this oil fields, a little bit deserty. I really struggle to make the oil and ore industry in this game looks realistic or nice. So this is like this industrial hub over here with cargo trains, some warehouses connected to train tracks, random like the refineries for plastics, for oil products, some warehouses and places to store the oil and products. And there is also how do I say that in English? Like the place where you create the ships. And there's also a factory over there. I think that in real life cities, factories are spread a little bit closer to the city. They are like mixed in. So I feel like it's a suitable place. And yeah, and these are actually the fields. And also you have very nice. Here we can actually start to tour the main city center. Again, reoccurring pattern here. Alelo park zones. Here we can see clocked trains. I don't know what's happened. Let's ignore it. Apartments. So whenever I place like skyscrapers like this, I try to use Rico or other mods to change the type of buildings and manually modify them, because sometimes the asset I really like is originally an office building and I feel like I need more of like a residential area, more apartment, more population in that space, so I manually change that. This area is left blank because I had completely no idea what to do with that. Previously there was an amusement park in here, which I thought would look nice, but it was a little bit off even when I downloaded some roller coaster assets. So yeah, a lot of skyscrapers. This is like very modern area. I try to incorporate trees and greenery, but still is like, you know, heavily built. And there is a train station with lots and lots of train tracks that connect different parts of the city together. It's like the main train station in my city, and it also serves as a metro station. And it's really beautiful, like see-through. You can see all the people waiting at the bottom. You have access to trains, and then you have the metro tracks. Really, really beautiful assets. I think it's in the vanilla game. And close to the train station we have a parking situation and some office buildings, like sort of I thought of it as a science center or education. This is another part of city center. Again, buildings that I thought of as sort of educational centers, science centers, if you will. We have the monorail going over here, of course, tons of beautiful sculptures and fountains. Trains and buses are the main mean of transport in the city. There are no trams, as there were in Los Coco. Another sort of educational office space, apartment, and of course another stadium, which, as you can see, survived the massive fire. And it's funny how it's like, you know, lush green when everything is dark and ugly. As Herrington surged forward, cultural traditions slowly faded into the background, giving way to a new era of progress and ambition. A shift in society saw the younger generation pivot away from ancestral industries like forestry or fishing Now investing in education at the Hubersman area. This campus fed the minds across diverse disciplines, making Herrington's evolution into a knowledge-driven economy. When it comes to education, we have two areas that serve the purpose of being a university or sort of like university campus. So this is the first one I've created. So it has this university custom asset, which serves just as a general building. It's not from campus DLC. And I've imagined this area as a little campus, and then we have a lot of surrounding apartments which can serve as a student dorms or just a more calm area far from the city center. And of course I wanted to provide a perfect means of transportation for the students going into university, so we have this pretty rural sort of train station and metro. Oh, there's a lot of people going out of the station. Amazing. I really love looking at the city from this perspective, hence why I love recording the public transport video, which of course will come from the Herrington city. Another huge bus station, and we are at the university area. So this is like a smaller campus. I've developed an area on the other side of river, which is over here. And this is a proper campus from Campus DLC. And this is a proper campus from Campus DLC, and I use the buildings from Technological University. I think that's how it's called. And this is how it looks like. A little bit messy. I underestimated how much space do I need for this sort of build, and hence it looks a little bit crowded, a little bit undetailed. I've created very nice campus area in Los Cocos City, so you can check it out in the cinematic video. I think it's visible. Here I wasn't as motivated, I would say, and of course there is a neighborhood. So here are the dorms, and here are the suburbs, which I imagine would house all the teachers and academics that dedicated their career to academia. And here is a little beach area along the houses and apartments, of course ferries. So I've called this area Huberman Center because of my love to Huberman. And when I say the love to Huberman, I mean his content and not his love life. Just a hospital and just a little commercial zone to serve all the people that arrive at university or live close by, or students. Of course there's a train station, but also we have train coming directly into the campus. This is more like the station to serve this commercial and / office area, and there's not much farther from that. We have some random low-rise buildings along the river. We are at the very outskirts of the city, just a random factory and a little industrial space with, again, the waste management plant. We also have the monorail going over here to drive people to work. And this is a look at the city from this perspective. Monorail is a little bit wonky, but other than that, it looks stunning. Surrounding the airport, once deemed unsuitable for development due to noise concerns, now flourish with innovative solutions. A new highway and bridge link the stadium area to the city outskirts, transforming the formerly neglected zone into a haven for affordable, eco-friendly housing. The birth of festival area catered to the young people's needs, providing entertainment and community spaces. Since we had university now, we needed some leisure space to, accommodate young people that are willing to have fun. And hence I've created this area, which would be a little bit more noisier, especially because it's close to the airport. Of course, the planes would land over there, so I decided to place mostly office buildings or like landmarks, sort of, for the tourists to visit that wouldn't mind the noise, or landmarks and buildings that tourists would visit who wouldn't mind the constant noise from the airport. And since we have noise, we could as well place a festival area. And this is how it looks like. It's a place where all the young people can come over, have there's a mix of vanilla stuff from the festival DLC, concert or something like this. And we also have custom assets, and I use the spawn generator, which is a very good asset slash mod. I think more of it as an asset, which lets you like spawn the group of people, and it looks so realistic, like as if they are really enjoying the concert. And some apartment that would possibly house all the visitors from the festival area. And there is no festival if there isn't like a camping zone. So here we have the pavement and all the tents that people, could use and get accommodated, and of course random metro station to help with the traffic. This is almost the end of our tour. As you can see, there is a lot of greenery over here, and since it's a pretty green area, I wanted to introduce this buildings from Green Cities DLC, technological buildings using sustainable buildings rules. It's like a new neighborhood in very modern style and sustainable approach. And close to that is of course train station. As you can see, there's a lot of small train station like this in the city, and a little office area. On the other side of the highways are just random low-rise buildings. It's like a suburb along the river and mountains. From its humble origins rooted in railway and fishing industries to a modern metropolis of innovation and opportunity, the city continues to shape its future with resilience and foresight. As Herrington evolves, its skylines continues to rise, echoing the aspiration and achievements of its diverse and dynamic populace. Change. Cities are history. Cities are built not only by those around us, but also by their fathers and grandfathers. Some cities are built by engineers, some are built by players. There's still value in that as long as you can immerse yourself, which we will do in the next video. Thank you for watching. If you need additional information on mods or graphics, check out the video description.